got the right bitch. No lefty, walking my truth, don't fuck with my step team. Crawl for you, walk, run it, catch me, got a sharp tongue, spit it. Guys, gals, and guys, how y'all doing, honey? Today we're going to have a little discussion, a little conversation, a little transgender talk, honey. I should be having a couple of guests joining me shortly, other transgender people. And we're just going to have a discussion. You know, recently I've been posting snippets from live chats that I've been having on various platforms with other queer people, and a couple of these snippets have gotten a little more rotation than others. I should say, right? The main discourse that's been getting the attention has been a conversation amongst trans people. And the conversation quickly turned into, does trans women or does trans men have it harder in American society, right? I'm just a facilitator, honey. Don't blame the messenger. But I'm also not mad at my peers. I'm also not mad at my siblings, because this conversation came up naturally. This conversation has been happening naturally, and this discourse has been going on quietly in the trans community for quite some time now. And I'm also not mad at my siblings for this conversation arising, because it's their thoughts, opinions, and views. And I'm building this platform not just for my thoughts, opinions, and views, but also for the thoughts, opinions, and views of other people of color, of other women, of other queer folks, and especially other trans people. So I hope y'all enjoy this conversation as it unravels, baby. And I just ask everybody to be polite in the chat, because if you're new here, I have no problem bringing you to the floor in the middle of the library and setting you and your mother as an example. Okay? All right. If you're a trans person, this conversation will be exclusively amongst other transgender people. I honestly would prefer other binary trans people, because it's a binary trans discussion. Just keeping it 100. You know, like I said, I'm just a messenger. I'm just the facilitator, and I don't think it's fair that people outside of the perspective have too many opinions. All right?
Make sure I'm up here. Hello.
Hello, my love. Hello. I'm going to introduce you in just a second. I'm bringing everybody up,
All righty.
or at least everybody who's here thus far.
Oh, I had to chime in, because this is my kind of carrying on these types of conversations.
Yes, yes. And like I said, for anybody else who wants to be included in the conversation, feel free to send a request. I just ask that this conversation remain between binary identifying trans individuals, or at least people who present binary, whether that's your true identity or not, because the binary is very arguable. Hi, how are y'all doing?
How you doing?
Introduce yourselves for the people. Let's start with the young man there at the bottom.
I was gonna let him go first. Have your way, young man. Have your way.
Okay. For depending on which platform you're on, you might know me as Be Live or Bandit. But my name is AJ. The Lavender Bandit on here. I am 35 years old, from Philadelphia. and I am a trans man.
All right.
Now, Auntie, introduce yourself. I let AJ go first because if anybody's familiar with my lives, then they know you.
Okay, well, let me get my. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take you on a journey with me. My name is Lejeune. I am years old, and I've lived in the South all my life. Currently, we live in Maryland, but my home is New Orleans, Louisiana, and I am a trans woman of a particular age because that does tie into the conversation.
And I want to answer questions. Diamond Styles, shout out my love, wants to know what is the topic. The overall topic that we're going to be discussing has been the rhetoric that has come up based on some of the snippets that I posted, and it's whether or not trans women or trans men have it harder in American society. That's overall what we will be discussing or getting to the crux to. Before we even really get started, I had there was a stitch from your video, AJ. There was a stitch, and there was a trans guy who I absolutely respect and absolutely love, and he was really upset. He said that he's essentially tired of this conversation. So the first question that I have for both of y'all is, why do you think this conversation is important, or do you think it's important at all?
Depends on the context in which it's being had. Because, see, if you're having the conversation but for the purpose of acknowledging that the community as a whole is in desperate need of reform and there has to be some different ways to maneuver this world and, coexist with each other because we are all we have, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not, we are all we have. So if we're talking about it that way, then this is a very important conversation to be had. However, if you're just trying to play the oppression Olympics and make yourself seem like you suffer a lot more than other people, well, it's just hard for me because I can't get on the street having hate crime. You're getting called out because you're ugly. Doesn't have anything to do with you being. See, y'all ain't got anyway. The point of the matter is, it can't. Everybody struggles. Everybody suffers. Everybody has things that make their lives miserable and uncomfortable. It's a part of life. You're born. You got about 70 years of bullshit and debt, and then you die. That's just life. That's just life, But if you want to look at it objectively and look at it in a way to where you can help those of us that are at a greater risk of threat and things like that, then we can open the door for conversation. But if you're just doing it to be messy, go ahead and shut your ass up.
What do you think, AJ?
I actually agree. And I also feel like trans masculine folks and trans men don't want to have the conversation that yes, we have access to male privilege when we transition, but what we don't talk about are the struggles, and that's the main bit of it, in that it's a perceived thought that we have access to certain protections, and it doesn't protect you all the time, especially if you are outed as a trans man. All of that goes away.
Mm-hmm.
That protection that you are perceived to have goes away because that male privilege is no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
And to our new guest, can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Nazir. What up, AJ? Long time no see.
Nice to meet you, Nazir. Do you have an opinion? Do you think that this conversation is necessary? If so, why or why not?
I think it's very necessary, but at the same time, it's how it's delivered. I feel
Yep.
like sometimes in the trans community, when a cis person is trying to understand us, sometimes people just snap off and go off the deep end and not really just break it down like, look, I know I was born a female. I don't identify as a man. I identify as a trans man. I do what's best for me to make me happy when I look in the mirror. I'm not trying to be you. I'm trying to be me.
That's where they get their wires all fucked up at. Like, see, I'm a firm believer. If you are willing to learn, I am willing to teach. However, if I feel like you're not trying to learn and you're just asking questions to be messy or get all in my personal business, that's when I'm going to handle you accordingly. You know, and the biggest thing that I think they struggle with hearing is that a lot of trans people have no intention of living the life of a cis person or taking away the right. Hell, most of us don't even like y'all like that. We're not trying to take your rights from you. We're trying to get our own damn rights. What I'm worried about yours for? Because, see, I've been cornered my entire life. I was pushed away by the white folk for being black, by the black folk for being gay, and by the gay folk for transitioning. You bitches ain't never liked me, so I don't give a damn what's going on with you. If you have the right to vote, marry, and own property, maybe I want that same right. That's not taking it from you.
But I gotta say, like I'm trying to think of a right way to say it without people trying to bash me. It's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 because we have our trans sisters out here that I'm a woman. I'm a nah. You don't know what cis women go through. You don't know what they've been through, and you sit here and like disrespect them in ways that you shouldn't. And then you build
We
this
not
like
even
this
we
this
not even
this
going to get started on
I'm
that
about to say, you don't even
conversation.
this
want me about
We
let me
not
demeanor.
tell you
we
about that
not we
shit.
not even going to get started on that conversation, Nazir. My question to you is, do you think
Ooh.
it's necessary for us to have the conversation whether or not trans men or trans women have it harder in American society?
I gotta say it's equal. I feel like trans men don't exist. Cause when I look on TV, I see a lot of y'all. But
I'm
where
so
are we?
glad you said that because, on one hand, trans men have very little representation in the media, and I've always had a problem with that. On the other hand, the representation that they do get in the media is a hell of a lot better than the kind trans women get. Because trans women have existed in television and movies and music for years. What? As a punchline. We've
Hmm.
always been the butt of a joke. That song from Mrs. Doubtfire by Aerosmith, Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Who looks like a lady?
I don't tell people I like that song. I'm gonna take that shit to my grave. I don't tell nobody I like that song. You know, that show Friends. Chandler's dad was a trans woman, and that entire appearance that she had was a fucking mess. Every time you see us on Law and Order, we're either a prostitute dead or a dead prostitute.
That is true.
I'd like our newest guests to introduce themselves for the folks.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, my name is Diamond Styles. I'm from Houston, black trans woman. Been around for a little minute. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
I guess I'm gonna be the controversial one because everybody seems to be
You know, we love some
agreeing.
controversy. Go ahead, girl.
Look, I'm one of them people that, because we live in America, there's a big focus in the history of America. There's a big focus on white supremacy. And so that's because we live in America, but patriarchal oppression is older than white supremacy because it's older than race. And so because these niggas is going over to the side of the men, they are more privileged than us. Yes, there is some things that happens when it comes to um visibility, but I think we don't see a lot of trans men because they go into that privilege. When we create spaces for trans men, a lot of them don't show up in the same numbers as trans women do, even when we create space for them. Yes, I know I'm an activist, organizer. I know tons of visible trans men, but when we talk about just the layman person, most trans men, they transition with their cisgender woman and go on and do their thing and have a partner and just do not be in community. I know
Tell the
tons of
children
them like
about
that.
Buck Angel. You better tell them about Buck Angel.
Listen, there are so many that just go and live their passing privilege because we another privilege, is testosterone is a stronger chemical than
Yes,
estrogen.
ma'am.
And so
Yes, ma'am.
testosterone on a chemical level is stronger than estrogen. So they get to have the beers, they get to have the deeper voices. Our hormones don't take us up. Our
We
hormones
got
don't
to
take
pay
our
for that.
voices up.
We
And
got to
so
pay for
there is
that.
a privilege that comes with you being able to pass as a man, opportunities for jobs, all these kind of things that happens. Yes, when your identity is exposed, yes, you get treated like a trans person. But I'm talking about the people that are passing. There is tons of trans men that can just go into the world and be free. And I just think that they have more privilege when it comes to that.
And that's why I have very mixed opinions about going stealth. I'm a firm believer if you are in a position where you being out is detrimental to your livelihood, don't you tell a soul. Okay? Don't you tell a soul. Do whatever you got to do to keep yourself
Totally
safe. But
understand it.
the ones that I have a problem with are the ones where you transition, you start to pass, you adopt very misogynistic views to help you pass better, and you turn your back on the community that sheltered you when you didn't have nobody.
Okay, so real quick, I want to go around the panel. I have a question for y'all.
Mhm.
Do y'all think that it is on average easier for trans men to pass? We brought up or I'm sorry, Diamond brought up testosterone being a stronger chemical, right?
Mhm.
So on
Hmm.
average, do y'all think that it's easier for trans men to pass after medical transition than it is for the average trans woman?
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
I
A
want
thousand percent.
I want to
Yes.
start with the trans guy. I
Oh,
want
I'm
to
sorry.
start with the
Yes.
trans guy just
I'm
because
sorry.
they've been quiet for a couple minutes.
You're right.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes. With the transition part, I agree with Diamond, but us trans men have struggles that we don't even speak about. We have a lot of things like OBGYN, reproductive justice rights, the things with our children. Like when I go to my child's school, I'm still labeled as mother, not father.
Mm.
And then on top of that, one more thing I want to add: when we transition, we don't know what it means to be a male. So if some people see us, they automatically just assume we just some sissy. So
Mhm.
we ain't just out of the clear. We do have some toxic trans men, but the elders are not teaching us what they have learned. It's like they're holding it.
Ooh,
They
you
don't
just
want to
started
pass the
something.
baton.
You just started
So what
something.
are we supposed to do?
You're
AJ,
absolutely
AJ,
right.
AJ, come on, AJ, bro.
My God.
Ooh, I just brought this up with a group of I'll call them mid elders about us not taking responsibility and that our younger counterparts are running wild with a lot of ideology that is completely transphobic and that is like internalized transphobia that they're spewing out towards community, especially our trans sisters.
Flame Monroe.
I do want to stress the fact that for us chemically, yes, we have it easier, but that is literally because of how science is set up. When you add testosterone to estrogen, because it is the stronger of the two, it's going to be the dominant hormone. Estrogen is maybe a softening, and it takes a while to undo the undo the effects of testosterone that has been naturally introduced into your bodies. So yes, y'all have a breaking down process to go through. Y'all have a softening process to go through. All of those things. So yes, chemically we have an easier transition. Socially, it can be detrimental for two reasons. We have to pick up bullshit. We have to pick up toxic traits to pass and not be treated a particular type of way. I was toxic as heck at one point in time. And that was literally a survival
Same.
like there was a way that I had to navigate in society in order to not be attacked. I was actually gay bashed. That's not something I talk about very often. I was out voguing with my friends and like a group of cis guys attacked us. And because my friend knew that if they outed me, I would be in even more danger, I just took my ass whipping like a man and kind of like paid it. But I had a better understanding of what some of my cis gay counterparts had been experiencing their entire lives, and so even some of my trans sisters. So like it was little things like that that kind of wake you up along the way, that kind of like deter you from being this super toxic person. But it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes we put on those attributes as survival armor. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying.
Made points. You made points, bro. I want to allow our final guest to introduce themselves, honey baby. This conversation,
that's my girl right there. Hey,
this conversation all began with the icon in the bottom right, honey.
So I was listening to some of y'all stories because I was busy trying to clean up my kitchen and shit. Just got a whole bunch of new stuff. So I get what's going on, that you guys have to pick up toxic traits. Okay, well, hold on. Let me stop. Let me go back to the original conversation that me and Bre had. I think a lot of folks cherry picked what I said to make a big to do about it. The fact still remains that it's easier to dirty a flower than it is to beautify a rock.
Gee, you better tell it. That thing about to have me in here hollering. You better go ahead.
So, yes, in your situations, they're unfortunate. I'm sorry for what you went through, but it still doesn't diminish the fact that if you go into a McDonald's before you even order anything, versus if one of us goes into a McDonald's, as soon as we walk in through the door, we're the ones who are getting picked on, we're the ones who are getting bullied, and we're the ones who have to actually think, how many people are in there? How many boys are in there? How old are they? We actually have to sit there and analyze going places. You guys don't. I understand that there's, hold on. I understand that there's certain situations where if you open up your mouth, or if you're at the beginning of your transition, that, you know what I mean, then, you know what I mean, you start getting the people like, well, is that a sissy? Is he gay, or whatever the case may be? But still, being gay in this society tends to be easier than being trans.
Mm-hmm.
I think on sis Denise, I think you brought up another nuance to this conversation, whether you realized it or not. You mentioned going into a public establishment, and you know, in your mind, you're counting the amount of guys in there, and in the age group, and all of those things. I think that that's a thing for women and femme people in general. I know cis women who are scared to go places that, you know, are dominated by certain types of men, dominated by men in general, or dominated by men of a certain age group.
It's intimidating.
But another question that I have for you, Denise, since you're just coming in, why do you think that this is important? This is important conversation for us trans people to have amongst each other.
This is an extremely important conversation for us to have with each other, because as AJ and as the young man on my bottom left, I don't know what your name is. It looks like Shabazz.
Yeah, Cole.
Okay, Cole mentioned, they also
have struggles, everyday struggles that they deal with. Yes. But what's going on is that what I've noticed that within both sub communities, trans femme and trans masculine, we're now you know what I mean, like dissecting those experiences and now bashing each other with them
And we can't
instead
do
of
that.
actually coming
I
together
agree.
and understanding that though both of our walks may be similar, they are yet different.
That's right.
And we should be understanding the fact that, you know, and just hugging it out rather, instead of just being, well, you know what I mean, it's more difficult for me because of X, Y, and Z, and it's more difficult for me because of A, B, and C. Yet we'll never understand each other's experience if we don't actually listen and empathize with what the other person is saying. My whole thing is to bring understanding to my walk of life, because at the end of the day, yes, I may be real, yes, I may be passable, but I still claim to be visible for folks. What does that mean for me? That means anytime someone or mistakes me for being cis passing, I tell them, no, 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 I'm trans. Anytime someone says that my experience is invalid because because I'm passable, I allow opening up my mouth and telling them, look, I'm trans first before I am cis, unless I'm in a situation where my safety is involved, then I have to allow myself being cis passing first before I am trans. And a lot of people don't understand that.
And you
I
know
think
what,
that's.
Denise?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good.
I'm going to give everybody opportunity. We could start with you, Nas. I want to give everybody an opportunity to just go around and give any final thoughts, because honestly, this conversation went very fast. But I think that by the time we all finish, it'll be a whole lot to process. By the time we all finish with this round, Nas, you go first. Any final thoughts, final questions, final considerations regarding this conversation?
It just saddens me the amount of like turmoil the trans women and trans men have when we come to these conferences and we come to these gatherings. And I might be speaking about my experience, and you're like, well, I have this going on too, and I have that going on too. So I get what Diamond's saying, but I've been to many conferences, Diamond knows. And sometimes trans women don't allow us to express how we feel and what is going on, and we do not have platforms to stand on. How are we supposed to build a platform when you won't even give me a crumb at the table?
I want to respond to that really quickly, Nas. And I shout this all the time from the rooftop. My platform is for all trans people, baby, specifically all trans people who are Black. Anytime you have anything to say, anytime you have anything you want me to post, anytime anything, hit your girl up.
I just want us to be heard and seen, and I want people to know that not all trans men look the same. We're not all chiseled up and ab the fuck up. We all don't look the same. We come in different shapes, sizes, and colors. We're not just all light brights. That's all I want.
You better tell him.
Well, honey, I'm a chubby chaser, so that thought is good.
You the guy who started.
Diamond, Nas did respond to you. So, final thoughts, my love.
Oh gosh, so I want to talk two things I want to hit on. Oppression Olympics. So everybody say, "Oh, Oppression Olympics is bad." Blah 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 blah. Listen, when Oppression Olympics come to play, when motherfuckers is comparing each other's struggle, we don't want that to be a competition. But we usually bring that up when motherfuckers is not acknowledging their privilege. When we talking about white women and we're talking about black men and how they're not acknowledging their shit that affect black women, when we're at the intersection of this, when they can, you got your race to protect you and you got your maleness to protect you, we have to do the oppression Olympics because you're not acknowledging your privilege. And I think in our situation, when we're talking about our particular group, when we talk about the oppression Olympics, I don't think trans men are acknowledging their privilege. And also, when we the next part about platforming, I have been in this game for a very long time. And
You have.
most of the when it comes to nonprofit, when it comes to trans women, just start getting out of client space to power positions. Trans men have been in positions of power in these organizations. Now, sometimes it be white. Now, sometimes it be white, but there is a lot of trans men that are in power positions that can give you a coin, a crumb to be able to build your platform. A lot of times, we just now getting in the prep where we just was doing outreach. There was a lot of times where my supervisor was a trans man in these situations. And so if you don't got a platform, it's because they didn't open the door for you like we do for each other because we sisters and that's what black women do. Or or you just not have the steadfast and whatever it is that make you keep going to drive. Sometimes you get burnt out and let go. Trans women don't got the luxury of doing that. We got to keep working and keep going to benefit the whole group. So I just don't see it as equal. But that's it.
Ooh.
Mm.
I felt that.
AJ, my love.
Ooh.
I don't think that like.
Why would you have me go after Diamond? Why would you? That was a setup. I don't appreciate that.
Come on, brother.
I'm
Tapping into you.
Nah.
I've been just trying to balance it out.
Only
If
allow
I-
you to
if-
Wait, AJ. My position, the ED position that I'm in right now, was created by a black trans man because he had the privilege in Dallas to create this whole conference. I would not be in the position that I'm in if he did not have the vision and the connections to do it. Okay, that's it.
You done now?
I hear exactly what Diamond is talking about, and there's a group of us that have been talking about how we can better show up and how we can actually expand what that looks like. I'm not going to keep asking my sisters for a seat at their table when I got the strength and power to build my own. And that is literally something that I think is missing from trans men. We get a little frazzled, or we allow social anxiety, which are real things, and other things when we get around in these spaces and we do not listen. We want to be in the space where we're talking about our oppression and talking about the things that we go through because we don't necessarily have that space all the time. We need to create that, and we also need to seek therapy. And another thing I kind of want to keep in mind: please stop asking trans women to do work. Stop asking them to do the work. They have led by example. We should know what to do. There are too many opportunities, like the Monica Roberts Freedom Academy, like working with different organizations throughout this country that give opportunity to trans men like myself to teach you how to make sure you have access to give stuff to your community. We have to be the men in our community and be responsible and also do what's necessary, because there's one thing to say that you're a man. It's another thing to actually show up and actually do those things as a man.
You better tell them.
You better say that.
You better say that.
All right, now onto June. You next.
You already know. You already know I was coming. I wanted to circle back to something that Denise had brought up, because I just love everything she has to say. But something that she said stood out to me about how it is easier for us in certain situations to be blended into society, but in others we have more difficulty. I wanted to focus on how it's easy. And this is controversial, but I'm more than happy to elaborate. I think that the reason why we are so palatable and so easy for everyone to accept us is a problem. And who do I blame for that problem? RuPaul. Let me finish. It is all that bald-headed salamander's fault, okay? And it's a special place in hell for that Geico lizard with a 3-piece suit on. It is all Mama Ryu's fault. Because when Mama Ryu decided to come on the television and platform the girls and shit, you brought the old queens out of the crypt. You had some of these Instagram kids dragging and queening and whatnot. And it was cute. You won your little daytime Emmys and whatnot. It was cute. But the problem is, because of that nonsense that you decided to do on Aretha Franklin's cable network, now when people think of trans or they think of trans women, they link us in with drag queens. And they figure, oh my God, I love trans women. I watch RuPaul. I don't give a fuck what you watch. That's not me. And I can't put all the flame, I can't put all the, flame and the burn and the blame on RuPaul because Flame Monroe is still living.
That
She's just
motherfucker
as
never
bad.
gonna change.
She's just as bad. She's Caitlyn Jenner with a shake and go.
She's worse.
She's just as bad, if not worse. And the only reason why Caitlyn is worse is because Caitlyn holds position in political power. That's the only thing that separates them. But yeah, it's great that society's more willing to open us with open arms. Like, the thing that bothers me the most, why is it that every time you see a trans woman on a television program, they're using like exclusively drag lingo, or they're very colorful and very vibrant and outspoken and opinionated and brash, almost like the sapphire stereotype that we see in television all the time, What about soft-spoken trans women who wear mute colors? What about those of us who just sit off to the side and chill? What about those of us that don't bother nobody and don't want nobody bothering us? It's like you focus on this purr and snur, click up fan, poverty, drugs, crime, bounce music, Big Frida. Okay, we are not all these colorful bitches with long fingernails who's 6'3", with a lace front, with a side
Cherry
part.
boom.
And we are not all cherry. You don't even get me. We're going to pray for Cherry. We're going to pray for Cherry. That's all we can do.
I wanted to jump in on that too. And I do want to bring up part of the aesthetic conversation. I want to bring up the fact that it does annoy me. And one of the reasons that I do stand out, or I try to stand out purposefully as a girl who's natural. Because I hate the fact that trans women, it seems like in order for us to be respected, we have to fit the classic Arabic aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And it sickens me. It sickens me. The beauty standards for trans women are completely unrealistic. They're unrealistic for women, so they're unfathomable for trans women. But yeah, Denise, wrap us up.
I want to pray for Flame.
That was a lot to take. That was a lot to take in. Everyone had an amazing point. I completely guffawed at the whole RuPaul thing. But Auntie June has a point, because now when they see us, that's the first thing that comes to mind: RuPaul's Drag Race, right? And the first thing that they ask us when they ask us about ourselves is, well, where do we perform at? Do we do shows and stuff like that? Bitch, do I look like a fucking step and fetch it to you? I lead a fucking quiet life. I lead a professional life. I work for Medicaid. Fuck, I look like getting on a fucking stage and doing all this. I am 300 pounds, bitch. If I do one of them little, I'd break a hip. I'd lose a meniscus.
Now, there are trans women who do drag, so I don't want to shit on them people.
And I support them, and I love everything that they do, but it's not all of us, and it's not practical that all of us, as soon as we decide to be trans, we go into show business. Bitch, it's not realistic. You know what I mean? For those who can do it, great, bitch. Here's $1, here's $2, here's $20. But for those who can't, we still need to eat. We still need to clothe ourselves. We still need to have a roof over our head. We still need to be.
Agree.
But
Agree
if you live
completely.
in Atlanta, that's the rhetoric. Like in Atlanta, that's the rhetoric for the girls.
Well,
That is the rhetoric.
I want to piggyback off of Nas and Denise's statements. You know, I'm a counselor. I tend to do a lot of my work in home. I tend to deal with a lot of special cases, people who can't leave the house and pursue counseling, or people who are not in a situation where it's conducive for them to leave the house to pursue counseling. Right? It is. I also live in a very hood city, Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh
It
Jesus.
is
Bless you.
it is very unrealistic for me. No, it's very unsafe for me to walk around Baltimore City, going house to house to treat people who are mentally ill in a pump, a full face of makeup, a lash, and a lace front tickling my ass crack, as Cardi B would say. That's very unrealistic. Don't get me wrong. There's a part of me who is a showgirl. There's a part of me that loves to entertain. But it is unsafe and it is unrealistic for the girls to walk around every day looking like Jessica Rabbit when you live everyday lives. Not just that, it brings a lot of attention to us. And then the first thing y'all say is that we trying to fool somebody, we trying to trick men, this, that, and the third. Well, honey, if we look like that every day, don't you think that they're gonna fucking want our attention? Just wanted to make that point. Nothing against anybody. Y'all know I'm a low key showgirl. Go around and give y'all how y'all want the people to reach out to y'all, because this conversation is important and y'all going on YouTube. Um, so tell the people how to find y'all. Start with you, AJ.
Y'all can catch me anywhere on social media as the Lavender Bandit, as y'all see it spelled here, or Lavender Bandit without the duh on Twitter, and on Facebook, AJ Scruggs, the one with the cartoon face, because I got like 6 Facebooks.
And for the people on YouTube, that is D on TikTok is DALAVENDARBANDIT. Sorry, I forgot to give y'all the heads up on YouTube. Our screen name's not going to show. Um, and also, to find Auntie June, who had to go early. You know, she has kids to take care of. To find her on TikTok, her screen name is MXLEJEUNE. All right, Denise.
You can find me on Facebook, Denise Infiniti. You can find me on TikTok, Denise_Infinity. You can also find me on Instagram, Lots LOTS, the number 2 LUV.
Diamond.
Hey, you can find me as Diamond Styles. That's STYLZ, as in zebra, not styles as in ES, like fashion styles. No. I am the host of the Marsha's Play podcast. We do an episode every week on Thursday, and you can find that on all streaming platforms. And I also go live on YouTube every Friday, Diamond Styles on YouTube. And yeah, any platform, Diamond Styles.
Wrap it
Oh,
up,
and next
Nas.
week is the Black Trans Advocacy Conference. I hope to see y'all there.
You,
Wrap it up, Nas.
you can find me on here, Kole Wole Shabazz, or you can find me on Facebook as Huey Shabazz, HUEYSHABAZZ.
Now you know you're gonna have to spell Kale. I can't even pronounce your real name.
Kole, KOLAWOLESHABAZZ. I know it's a long ass name. It's my African name.
Baby, I love it. I love and appreciate all of y'all just for being y'all, baby, and supporting a real bitch. Love, peace, and blessings to everybody who support us, baby. And we out for now.